So you were with Fates Warning for 15 years, and in that time, you've obviously had some success, especially with the first two records that you were on. But you were there 15 years. So in your 15-year run with Fates Warning, what album would you say is the one that's underappreciated?
Okay, underappreciated in a massive sense would obviously be Parallels, because that could have been that was the one that was launched for the world. Now, when you start talking about underappreciated with prog fans per se, I would say Pleasant Shade of Gray, just because you want prog, there you go.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. But it's prog with a hard rock metal grind to it. Like it's like there's some things that that prog bands would never play. They would never play that kind of slow plot. Well, I guess Sabbath would. I take that back. But that kind of open air kind of thing. So I just thought that record kind of, if you have to say, well, what's Fates Warning like? Well, go listen to that, and that kind of covers the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the last song in that record just kicks my ass every time. It's just that plodding, slow kind of thing, but it's building and it's building, but it's still restraint. It's not like all of a sudden kicking to double time and we're jamming. It stays in that. It's like the pent up frustration or whatever. It's I don't know. I thought it was brilliant.
You guys obviously have established a very loyal cult following, if you will. Having said that, is there a future for Fates Warning? Because you obviously have an audience out there that'll never go away. Where are you and the rest of the guys in terms of possibly communicating or possibly doing something moving forward?
Well, the story when I left the band, just so everybody's really clear on it. Like I said, I've been in the band 15 years, given everything I had, rehearsed at my place, lived at my place, recorded at my place, just given everything that I possibly could to the band, because that's what I am. If I'm going to be into it, I'm going to be into it. Came to 15-year period. I was getting married. We were talking about having a family. And Fates Warning wasn't the kind of band like when you read in the Geddy Lee book, well, yeah, we have next year planned out, and this is what we're going to, no. This was like, hey, guys, we're going out on tour in 2 weeks. Say what? I mean, hey, we just, which is, I'm sure that happens with a lot of bands, but when you're in the band 15 years, I have the whole studio business going that I've had, for 27 years now. It was tough. It was just tough, especially being married. And also part of it, just brutally honest, we'd been doing this number, and then we were doing this number. Yeah. And for the last 5 years, 6 years, playing the same places, same people, which is fine, but it wasn't kind of where I wanted to go. And it's not like I left because, I'm going to go join these other 6 bands. It was just, I didn't see it going anywhere. And what it required, and this is why Bones left, and this is why Frank left, that you couldn't sustain kind of, I don't want to say normal lives, but that kind of situation is great when you're either one calling the shots, because then you get to determine what's happening, or you're 19, 20, 22 where you have no responsibilities and it's good to go. So, but I came to Jim just plain as day and said, hey, here's the story. I think what you, and this is after Pleasant Shade of Gray, I said, I think you, me, and Ray have a great formula. I don't want to kill the golden goose, but I really just can't do the kind of touring stuff. I'd like to work something out where I'm not a part of the band. You can pay me whatever you think it's fair. It's not really about the money, because I love the recording process. That recording process, I just love. Completely professional and just great. Just to see that come to life is really something. And I said, whatever you want to work out, I'm game. It doesn't matter. Okay, you don't want to pay me, that's cool. We'll do it anyways. Said, no, if you're not gonna, we really need a guy who's gonna, we need a guy who's gonna play the shows and record the records.
Yeah.
It's interesting because this day and age, and even back then, there's a gazillion bands that had other guys playing on records, especially like the original guy. It's not like I wasn't the original guy for that period. It wasn't like, I'd only been there 6 months or something like that. I'd been there 15 years. There was a sound. I definitely think you could look at a Fates Warning catalog and go, that era, and that era.
Yeah.
Very distinctly.
But you even said yourself, you know, your daughters are at an age now where you could probably go out for a while and do some touring. You do have this built-in audience, in my opinion. I think time has been gracious to the legacy of Fate's Warning. Like, it wouldn't matter what the current trends are in music today. That goes right out the window. We're talking about Fate's Warning. So, having said all of that, is there any future of, you know, doing something? Or because your reasons that you explained were sort of based on circumstances at the time.
Oh,
And
no, absolutely. And it's interesting, you know, obviously I talked to Ray, you know, obviously.
yeah.
I played on Jim's solo record with John Arch. You know, he called me and had me playing a couple things. It's kind of up to them. It's not up to me to go, hey, man, you know, let's put the band back together. We're number 6 in Japan. I mean, it's like, it's not really my position. I've been gone a long time. It's kind of the same questions when I first started A through Z, and I kind of went, hey, whatever they're doing, that's their business. When I first called Ray to see if he was interested, if he didn't want to do it because he thought he had a conflict of interest, that was on his plate. I just asked him. He could have said yes, no, go to hell, and there it is. It's just real. There it is. So when I left, it was cool. There was no hard feelings or any of that or this, that, and the other. I mean, actually, I think I saw him one time at the Whiskey here. You know, actually, I went out there with Nick Van Dyke, but you know, it's no, there's no, you know, nobody stole anything, nobody raped anybody's girlfriend, nobody. You know, there's attitudes, egos on everybody's side. There's personalities on everybody's side, but there was no like defining moment. Hey, man, I just can't get over that. You know, time that this happened. It's not that, it's band stuff. You know, that's all it is, and just everybody had probably different visions. The other thing too is I was 10 years older than everybody else, so there's a little bit of a different when I first joined. As we move forward, just your life experience and where you'd been and what you were starting to experience compared to what some other guy had already experienced 10 times. You know, 10 years older. Yeah. There was a little bit of a, I don't want to say generation gap, but there was a little bit of a little bit, nothing to get concerned about. Sure. But again, you know, I've always felt, you know, as long as you communicate, you're polite and you're respectful, you know, like I've always said, you know, you can call me an asshole, but you can't call me a liar. So, you know, you might not like what I'm saying, but I'll never be in politics, put it that way. So, you know,